Oh,
Spence hasn't loaded it up yet.
okay.
I only love it with some passion. Rubber band and the money that keeps stacking. Got a honey who come with elite fashion. She too fine, I tell her that thing magic. You ain't a hustler, you broke, well that seems tragic. Gotta catch in the field like deep passes. I tell her plug if it's sticky, then please bag it. I need the best cause I grew up beneath madness. Need a matte burgundy mercy. Jewelry so heavy it might hurt me. Smoking extra kill, that extra seal. Whoa. Buffalo money need extra bills. Till I'm eating so much I got a breakfast deal. I put moms on vacay with Bob Marley State. Racing all the homies in that Audi R8 place. Got an out of state name. Going hard to my tours is foreign. Like too.
Jets fan, Jets employee, Jets worker. My guy Antwan Staley is back in the building.
None
He's
of
been out here.
those.
Look.
None of those.
He's back here doing the damn thing. Jay Spence is calling me right now. He's calling me because I call him and then he didn't answer the phone. So I don't know if he's gonna tell me like we should be going at a different time or we should be going at 7:00. But we already got people's eyes on the show. Spence, text me. But it's good to see you, man. It's really good to see you.
Nice to be back.
What's been going on this summer?
Did some vacation before training camp and then started training camp early. So that was, that wasn't necessarily fun, but now I'm in the groove of things. It's like riding a bike. So yeah, I'm back in football mode until whenever the Jets lose their lose a game, late game in the playoffs, assuming that they make the playoffs. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, man, we're gonna see. We're gonna talk about the Jets tonight. We're gonna talk about some Bills topics as well. Just to let you know that this show is brought to you by the Jordan Poyer Foundation. Our very own Jordan Poyer sponsoring the chop up for this season, and we appreciate all the things that he has going on and off the field. So shout out to Jordan Poyer and his foundation, all the amazing work they do. Listen here, man. The Jets, y'all signed Dalvin Cook, man. There's a lot of people out there that don't like the move at all, and I'm on the side of like I'm good with it. I think it's a really good move to bolster your running back room, seeing that you're nursing Breece Hall back to health. I mean, I saw that he was cleared fully, right? So he's not going to be on the PUP list. Talk to me about what's the temp in the locker room now that Dalvin Cook is going to be RB1.
Well, I mean, at least externally, I think the running backs are saying, he's a part of the team, and they welcome it and everything like that. But I have to think that it's probably they didn't want the move. They thought they were good enough without Dalvin Cook too. I know Brees Hall ended up you know, having, a big eyes emoji when they ended up, entertaining and hosted Dalvin Cook too as well on Twitter. And Michael Carter wasn't necessarily for it, although I think, he's just dealing with it in his own kind of way. And, at least he's being mature about it. We asked him about that today. So I think externally they're welcoming him with open arms, but internally you have to understand that they're already four deep at the running back position, and now you add somebody like Dalvin Cook, so you have to wonder who's going to be the odd man out of the quarterback room. So, yeah, I definitely think it's a fair question, but I think it was much needed. Especially considering what happened after Brees Hall suffered that injury last year. The Jets
Mhm.
were unable to run the football consistently. I know some of that had to do with the offensive line. I know some of that had to do with Zach Wilson and his inability to, be efficient down the field too. But the fact of the matter is, the running backs didn't get it done on a consistent basis.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because I feel like had Brees Hall played the whole season, he probably would have finished top. At least I know top 10 in terms of rushing production. I mean,
Yes.
for the time he played, he was electric. I mean, he really took the offense, right, led by Zach Wilson, and he made it respectable. And who knows what that offense would have been from a passing standpoint. I think he would have added a lot to the passing game as well. You guys already had, Garrett Wilson over there doing his thing, rookie of the year. It's just crazy that the Jets, I mean, they keep knocking it out of the park. What have you heard about the new additions this year? What about Will McDonald? How's he looking? How's he faring? And then you guys have a receiver from was it Brownlee? Who is this guy that's making all these
Jason Brown. I
catches?
like how you acted like I'm on the team. Like
You are.
I was like
Quit playing.
my team, the team that I like. Nah, but Jason Brownlee, like undrafted rookie. Yeah, he's made some noise too. I think he's in a competition battle too for the sixth spot as well. I think him and Malik Taylor are kind of the two guys that are going for that six wide receiver spot, assuming that they keep six wide receivers. But yeah, Brownlee, he ended up doing his thing early on, and had I think he's kind of fallen a little bit, you know, down a little bit in the pecking order. But we'll see. You still have two more preseason games to go with two already in the bag, so he's definitely had some opportunity to still make some noise there. And then you talked about Will McDonald. I think he's definitely played really well. I mean, he's just going off ball ability right now. I think you kind of saw it if you watch these games at Iowa State too. Somebody that has the ability to just get to the pass rusher with spin moves and just a variety of moves. Like he's so quick and fast, and has this dangerous spin move and flexibility to get to the quarterback. And once he puts it all together, I think it's gonna him and Jermaine Johnson. I think they're gonna be complete beasts for the Jets, for years to come. Jermaine Johnson's also playing really well throughout the course of the preseason. So the Jets defensive line, I think, is up there with, I don't want to say it's better than the Eagles, but I definitely think it's up there with the 49ers and the Eagles, like top three for sure.
Wow. Wow. That's high praise. That's very
Yeah,
high praise.
I mean, they're deep. They're deep and loaded. Like, yeah, they are. I mean, you got Quentin Williams, who was one of the better defensive
Right.
players in the league last year. So yeah, they're top. Like they're heavy. Like as far as defensive end and defensive tackle, picking up Al Woods, I think it was huge as far as the run game. You have a run eater inside that can stuff the run as well. I think giving up some run yardage late last year was a big problem for this team, and now you got a
Okay.
a big 330 plus guy, a veteran like him that can, keep control that in the middle.
It's scary, man. It's a very scary proposition for NFL offenses, namely the Buffalo Bills, who had their moments with the Jets last year, losing one game, right?
Yeah.
And the next, the Bills got them the second time, and
Yeah. Lost
you
by
know,
8.
was that?
Lost by 8. Yeah. Lost
Yeah,
by 8 the second
yeah,
time.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, and that game was close.
Yeah.
You, you you look at all the things this offseason between those two squads, and you're seeing a lot of pundits, analysts alike are saying that the Jets might be the best team in the division. Uh, yeah, you seen it. I mean, even on ESPN today
I know I
after
posted
the
it.
yeah, what are you okay, I know the Jets players feel confident. I'm sure the fans feel confident, but realistically, like what are we looking at here? Are we looking at the Bills run of AFC East champions? Is it over? Is what I'm asking you.
I won't say it's over, but the gap is definitely shrunken a little bit between the Bills and the rest of the teams in the division. I mean, you look at Miami, I think they're just as talented too, but you have to look at two. The big question is about Tua and then his health. And can he stay healthy, concussions aside? Even before that, like he had a inability to play all 16, 17 game season, and even going back to Alabama, he had his injury concerns too. So if he can stay healthy, then I think the Dolphins could definitely have an opportunity to win that division as well. I mean, you look at the Jets. Getting Aaron Rodgers is huge. Anytime you get a future Hall of Fame quarterback like that, I mean, it's definitely going to make you take notice and make them a player in the division. Getting Dalvin Cook to go along with Brees Hall too, huge move. Garrett Wilson is. I think we saw kind of sound signs of him last year. They end up getting out with Lazard, McCall Hartman to kind of shore up the wide receiving core. Offensive line is still a bit concerned. We'll see what it looks like when Dwayne Brown comes back. But the defense, I definitely think it's going to be really, really good. I think we kind of saw signs of that last year. They finished fourth in total yards allowed and also points allowed. So as long as if they can get any kind of, if they can get the Aaron Rodgers that even last year, if they get that type of Aaron Rodgers, I definitely think they'll definitely be a player in the AFC. But I actually expect Aaron Rodgers to be better simply because he was a little banged up last year for the most part.
It's interesting, man. I don't know. I'm nervous. I can't sit here and say that as Bills Mafia, I'm not nervous about the Jets. The Dolphins. I mean, they're going to be dynamic on offense, right? And you add Vic Fangio to that.
Yeah,
Huge loss for them to lose Jalen Ramsey, of
Ramsey.
course.
Yeah,
That one's gonna hurt them. But it's one of those things, man. It's like, okay, how from a Bills perspective, I'm like, well, how good or how confident am I in the Bills' ability to at least split with the Jets and the Dolphins? I'm not worried about the Patriots. I think the Bills will beat the Patriots 2 times, right? But it's really it's not. For a while, it was like, all right, the Bills need to get the number 1 seed. Now it's, you got to win your division, but oh, by the way, your division got a lot tougher. And that's what has me worried at night, man. It's got me worried.
it's a fair concern. I mean, like I say, this is no longer just the Bills had their run, and where it was just like it was them and everybody else, and now, like I say, little by little, I think the gap is closing a little bit. I think it would have closed a little bit last year too if the Tua would have been able to stay healthy, but concussions, and everything kind of took over, and the Bills ended up winning the division as well. But yeah, I think this year is going to be. I think you can make the argument 3 teams can make the playoffs at the AFCs. I really think it's that good, and how they finish, I don't think anybody would be a whole lot of surprise between if the Bills win the division, if the Jets win the division, heck, if the Dolphins win the division. Yeah, I think the only one that
They
would
ain't
be
winning the
surprised.
division.
I think they could. I think they could. I really think
No.
they're dynamic enough. Yes, they definitely could. They just have. It's just Tua. That's all it is. That's the biggest question.
Yeah, that's a
If
big
if he
question
can,
mark.
no, it is. But if he stays healthy, then there's good as any of those 2 teams in the division as well. Like I think everybody knows that.
Yeah, I mean, I believe they do have an opportunity. They got a shot to win the division. It's hard for me to look at. You want Tua to be healthy, right? And you want them to manage him correctly in terms of his health. I mean, I'm not worried about his play on the field. I think when he's on the field, he's a quarterback that has ability to produce. But his health really does is a cause for concern. I mean, you look at teams like the 49ers, who for some reason always get plagued with injured quarterbacks, right? And they kind of figure out a way. Brock Purdy coming in as a 7th-round pick, doing his thing. We're seeing Sam Darnold, even in the limited preseason action we saw, he's come in and looked very well. It's just one of those things, that they probably are going to have to figure out, a kind of hedge against the starting quarterback. I know they signed your guy Mike White to be their backup quarterback for Tua.
Yes, yeah,
So
Dolphins. Yeah,
yeah, so it's one of those things where it's like, okay, if this team can stay healthy for 17 games, where does that put them among, like, I got them in the top 10 in terms of the power rankings. I made a little power rankings this week just to kind of do as an exercise. But how in terms of the overall picture of the AFC, where do you rank the Bills and the Jets and the Dolphins?
I think they're all like tier 2. I think they're all tier 2 teams. I think the only teams that I think in the AFC that probably tier 1 are the Chiefs and the Bengals right now. And I think that's fair. I think it's fair to rate those guys right now. Tier 2, tier 1, because the Bengals have had Chiefs number up until last year in the AFC Championship, and you can make the argument they might have actually beaten the Chiefs if it wasn't for dumb push it out of bounds, late in the game. So yeah, I definitely think the Bengals and the Chiefs are definitely head and shoulders above everybody else, and I think everybody else is catching them. At one point in time, I would have put Buffalo there, but yeah, I just could they get back there? Certainly, for sure. Like when you got a guy like Josh Allen, he gives you an opportunity to be in that conversation. But yeah, I think those 2 teams are the best in the AFC, and then everybody else is just trying to catch up.
Yeah, as much of the not necessarily concern, but just nervousness I have about the Bills in terms of that sustained success, in terms of the elite of the league and conference. I still think that this is a squad that last year was one of the NFL is so predicated on what have you done for me lately, and the Bills had a hell of a year in terms of so much adversity. We've talked about it ad nauseum. I think without that, maybe they're a little bit healthier from an injury bug standpoint. I still think that the Bills can represent the AFC in the Super Bowl or represent, in the AFC Championship game. It's not a foregone conclusion. I feel like the Bills, along with the Eagles and the 49ers, the Bengals even, are some of the most complete rosters in the league, right? And with some of the best talent at the quarterback position. And it's going to be a dogfight either way it goes, right? It's going to be a dogfight. We saw the Eagles and the 49ers are going to be battling out. We're going to see the Bills and the Bengals and the Chiefs kind of figure those things out. It would be interesting to see where the Jets kind of fit in the upper echelon of things. It looks good on paper, but it's one of those things where they got to prove it.
Yeah, I don't think this is a fair question. I'll ask you, like, I don't think the Bills really got that much better this offseason though. That was my thing. Like, I think they're kind of, getting Dalton Kincaid, I think was really good, in the draft. But other than that, did they really get better? Are they a better
Yeah,
team than what they were last year? You think so?
yeah, yeah. I'll tell
How
you.
are they better?
Well, I'll tell you, because this is what you know what you've been doing, because you haven't been hanging out here on the chop up. You've been out there in them streets, and they done polluted your mind.
No, it has nothing
Them
to do with
folks
that.
done polluted your
No,
mind,
it has
Twan.
nothing. Like I'm pretty neutral. So like I don't, I don't care if the Jets win or not. I'm being honest. Like I look at their roster. I just don't. They don't scare me. Like I think Johnson Allen is good. Obviously, Stephon Diggs is all world. I think losing Tremaine Edmonds was, a big loss.
Sure, sure.
I do think Trey White coming back fully healthy. I think that'll help them a lot in the secondary. But I don't know. Like I don't know.
So
I think they can win the division. Yeah, I think
okay,
they definitely could still win the division. But I just don't know if they're right there with Kansas City and Cincinnati. Maybe they proved me wrong, but
I
but
love
then
it.
again, I thought the same thing last year too. And then you know somebody that's not here, we won't mention it. I told him I thought the Bengals were better, and come to prove they were. But we'll see. Every year is different. Maybe they are a better team, but at least right now, I just have my doubts, especially considering also they still have questions on the offensive line too. Just kind of like all the teams in the division. It seems like all the teams in the division except the Patriots have questions about their offensive line.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's worried about the Patriots at all, or thinking about the Patriots. I mean, they
Well,
wouldn't sign Zeke Elliott. Like, what is that going to do? What is that going to do for you?
they have a good defense. They have a good
Sure,
offensive line. They're well coached. I think Bill O'Brien will make them better. I don't think they're a playoff team, but do I think they can win 7 or 8 games and make somebody's life hell in the division?
sure.
Yeah, sure.
That's fair.
And also take into this into account. The Jets haven't beaten them in 8 years, so you could say whatever you want to about the Jets being improving and all that stuff, but until they beat the Patriots, then none of this really matters. Which I think they will this year, but I think the Patriots they're gonna float around about 7 8 wins, make people's life hell, but I think they're probably gonna
Okay.
finish in fourth place too.
So I got my light skin down here, my guy Jeremy, and for all of everyone who's listening, there was a mix up. I went on the show. We were supposed to do this next week, so pardon me. Spence is gonna be mad at me. That's my dog, but he probably mad at me right now. He's probably saying all kinds of swear words in our little chat that we have. But this show will be at this time during the season. I think we're gonna start that this week, but next week as well. So you can look forward to the chop up being at this time. Now, with that being said, I'm gonna let Jeremiah answer Jeremy. So Antwan, Jeremy, Antwan.
How you doing?
That's my dog down here. So, this is the full chop up crew for the season. But Jeremy, the question was how how are the Bills better this season? We've talked ad nauseum about how teams or fan bases are kind of saying the Bills. Even Colin Cowherd saying the Bills are on a downward spiral. Can you tell my guy how the Bills have gotten better?
I would assume that their takes on the Bills getting worse is the fact that the Jets and the Dolphins have gotten better, and they don't see big splashes from the Bills, which that's fine. But I would assume that they're not taking into account the injuries that we have returning. I mean, Jordan's back, full health. Micah's back. Jordan, Micah, and Trey haven't played together since 2021, and on Thanksgiving Day. So our DB sets back. Our D line is absolutely better. You can see that in the as far as depth. You could see that in the first preseason game, and yeah, we lost Tremaine, but I mean, you're gonna lose some guys. It is what it is.
Yeah,
But
and go ahead.
go ahead. No, you're good.
No, and we're not going to. The middle linebacker is still a major need for this defense. The Bills are in trouble with middle linebacker. I mean, it's evident. Like, Tyrell Dawson did not look the part on Saturday. Again, it's a preseason game, but I think there are simple things schematically, filling the run and stuff that he didn't, in my opinion, didn't do that good of a job on. And we know he's not very good in coverage. But from an offensive standpoint, how the Bills got better, I think bringing Deontay Hardy is in the slot. I think that's huge. Khalil Shakur's kind of been inconsistent throughout camp. But I think there's an emergence for Andy Isabella from Arizona. He was a recent acquisition, and we don't need top end DeAndre Hopkins to come into this offense. Dalton Kincaid has been, I think, better than advertised. I mean, he's come in and done a hell of a job playing that, that tight end position or that flex wide receiver / tight end. And I think James Cook coming in the year 2 is gonna really turn some heads. I was on my show this past weekend saying that James Cook is a 1,000-yard rusher. And then you look at the offensive line. Okay, Osiris Torrance being a rookie, but if Saturday was any indication, I think Osiris Torrance is going to be a suitable guard. I'm not saying he's going to be all pro level, but I think he's going to be a suitable player at right guard. And I think, when you look at it as a whole, Connor McGovern coming over from Dallas Cowboys, I think, gives the Bills a little bit more athleticism, a little bit more ability to, in terms of the run game, be able to take it to the second level. I think he's going to open up some things for the screen game. There's whispers that, the Bills might be using a little bit of tight end screens and stuff like that. So I think this offense is better slightly. I think it's going to be a lot better than it was last year. But again, the Bills were, one of the top offensive teams in the league. And they didn't even play a full season because they had a game that they didn't complete due to the DeMar Hamlin situation. So it's crazy how you laugh. Why are you laughing?
I ain't say that. Just go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, hater. See, Jeremy, this is why this show is great. Because he don't come in here and start hating.
How am I a hater? Like I just like they might. I mean, I don't think that would have mattered. I still think they were a top offense whether they lose or win that game either way. So that's why I was laughing. Like I didn't think it really that much. I think Cincinnati might have won, but they still would have been a top offense no matter what. That's why I was.
Cincinnati was going to clean them up. I felt like that the way the Bills looked in that game, it was. I mean, we saw it in the playoffs. Like Cincinnati was going to kill them. I mean, they marched down the field the 2 times they had the ball, or was it? I think it was one possession, but the touchdown, and then they were marching down the field again and about to score, in my opinion. So yeah, so to say that the Bills haven't gotten better, I think people are not really evaluating what the Bills have done this offseason. I think Leonard Floyd is another one. He's big time edge rusher who's at least going to give you 9 sacks, right? So I don't know.
I think the biggest difference between this year's offense and last year's offense is just the personnel that you could put on the field. I do think that the fact that we've struggled to run the ball consistently, and I'm not talking about yards per game or yards per carry, because Singletary has been doing that, right? Like 4 or 5 yards, but more bulk of running game, more play action plays. I think it's just going to help Josh in terms of efficiency, and that's what you need when you get to the playoffs is your offense being able to efficiently flow. And so it may not help us in terms of like total yards that we gain as far as an offense, but it's going to help us when it comes down to mattering in the playoffs. Our defense is going to be able to stay off the field more. Our offense is going to be able to stay on the field more, be able to run the ball a little bit better out of 12 personnel. And so I just think that the benefit that we've gotten this offseason, especially from bringing in some O-linemen and Dalvin Kincaid, is that we can run 12 personnel and run the ball more.
Yeah, I think the Kincaid, I think the draft pick. I mean, I saw him a lot of Utah. I thought he was tremendous, and for them to get him, go along with Dawson Knox, I think it'll be huge for their offense too as well. So yeah, I mean, anything that can take some pressure off Stephon Diggs and the rest of the offense, I think it's a big deal too. And like you said, talk to play a lot more 12 personnel, and I think that in turn is really going to improve their offense.
Yeah. So here's a question for you guys before we take a break. Bills, Jets, week 1. Who y'all taking? Who are you gonna
I'm
bet
not
on?
saying anything.
Who are you gonna bet on?
I'm not saying. It's
Why?
way
You're
too
not a
early.
you're not a fan.
I'm not.
You work for a publication that supports or watches the Jets. So you should be able to answer the question.
I'm not. It's
Bills or
3 weeks
Jets?
away. Like, do I
I
have to
don't
give you a
care.
bit right now?
I'll answer.
Yes.
No, I'm not giving you. We know y'all picking the Bills, but why are you
You don't
taking the
know
Bills?
that. Hey,
No.
Yeah, yes, I
Jeremy
do.
keeps it
I'm
100. He keeps
pretty
it
unbiased.
100.
Aaron Rodgers is
Okay.
my favorite quarterback outside of Josh. So, like,
Okay.
I'm a big Aaron guy, and a lot of people don't like Aaron, and I really don't give a damn. I think Aaron's a good dude, a good teammate, and I just like the way he plays football. I do think, however, the Jordan in this defensive backfield has been very successful against Aaron Rodgers when they've played against him in the past, as far as interceptions. Like, I just have a feeling that our defense is going to come out and punch him in the mouth. Now, they might try to come back late, so I would give it like a 27 to 23 Bills win. But it'll be a last second, like Aaron will have the ball last, and it'll be our
Okay.
defense to stop him.
I love it. Twan, come on now.
I'm not giving you a pick, but what I will say is, I think it's going to come down to each team defensive line. I think the Jets defensive line is, which we talked about there. I think it's the hardest strength of their team. Quentin Williams, Carl Lawson, and I talked about Gaines, Jermaine Johnson, and Will McDonough have also made two defensively. So yeah, I think if they can get pressure, kind of like what we saw last year, they were able to get pressure on Josh consistently. Ended up forcing him to make some bad decisions. Then yeah, I think the Jets have a really good opportunity to win. I think on the flip side, you look at Buffalo, and the Jets have some questions on their offensive line. If they can get pressure on Aaron Rodgers and force him to make some mistakes too, then I think it's going to be a little bit lower scoring game than that. I think it's probably maybe 21-17, somewhere around there, because I think both teams have really good defenses, and I think they're going to be able to keep each other in check. I just think it's going to come down to maybe the last possession, whoever has it last. Kind of like what happened in MetLife last year too.
I agree with that, but I have a high. Garbage points happen quite a bit in the NFL. And I think the first 3 quarters will be all defense. And it just happens that at the end of games, a lot of turnovers could come into play, scores on defense, return kicks. I think garbage points in the fourth quarter, I think that'll push it to the 27. I think it'll be a good defensive game for 3 quarters though.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I want to see what Sauce does. I mean, I love Sauce Gardner. I think in my opinion, he's the best cornerback in the league. He's better than Jalen Ramsey. Look, man. I watched
Surtain too.
Is that who you have second, Jalen?
I think Surtain probably the best one to me.
Better than Jalen Ramsey. I think Surtain's better than Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah. I think Surtain's probably number 1 for me.
I love Sauce gets the edge just because from a mental standpoint, the way he anticipates what the receiver's doing, mirroring routes, and he's just extremely sticky in coverage, tall, lanky. Some say he's grabby, but they're not calling it. I mean, run it, but it's 1A, 1B. I love Patrick Surtain. Being out here in Denver, I get to hear and watch him a lot. So, I'm a big fan of PS2. But I think those are the best 2 cornerbacks in the league for sure. Jalen Ramsey comes in at number 3 for me, and then Jair, I got him at number 4.
The only reason I wouldn't put Sauce there yet, because I want to see him do it another year.
Hater.
I think he will. No, how am I hate? I'm just I think he's great. I think it's tremendous, but to be the best in the league, I think you have to do it more than 1 year. That's always been my rule. I think Sauce will. I think he's going to be great, but for right now, I would put Surtain number 1, and then Sauce 2, and then like I said, I have Alexander 3, and then I might have Ramsey number 4, especially considering he's hurt right now at the moment.
Sure. All right, so we're halfway through the show. We're going to take a quick break. After the break, we're going to talk about the Michael Oher situation and was he extorted?
Bills Mafia is back. Are you ready for it? The third annual Buffalo Rumblings IPA beer release party is going down September 16th, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Resurgence Brewing Company located downtown at 55 Chicago Street. I'm going to tell you what, you do not want to miss this event. Come out and hang with Joe, Sarah, and the rest of the Buffalo Rumblings crew for the Megapod. You're going to want to bring your questions and be a part of the live stream. Get involved. It's going to be live. And this year, we're also going to have our friends from Fans of Buffalo joining the party and sponsoring the fun. They're going to be in the house to provide you with all the information you need to make your away game day experience the easiest and the most smooth that you've ever had in your life. I can promise you, they do their job very well. So make sure you make it out Saturday, September 16th, 6 p.m., Resurgence Brewing Company, 55 Chicago Street. Go Bills.
All right, so that's our guy Jay Spencer King on that ad there for the event that we got going on next month. It's gonna be dope, man. It's gonna be dope. Twan, I wish you could be there, but you're gonna be doing your Jets thing, doing your real job. So we're gonna have to catch up when you come out to Denver next time. Are the Jets playing the Broncos in Denver?
Yeah, it's week 5. Yeah.
Okay, so do you have a place to stay?
Yeah, I got a hotel through the company, so yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
all right.
yeah, I'm good. Like,
Okay,
but yeah, I'll be around. I think last year when I was there, I think you had something going on. So,
yeah,
but yeah, we'll try to figure it out.
So when you get in town, let me know because you got to come watch my son play football. First year, he's playing left tackle. I think it's gonna be dope. But yeah, we gotta hang out. Got to get you a home cooked meal or something, bro.
Yeah, I'll be there from that Friday to that Sunday. I have a red eye after the game on Sunday. So
okay, bet we're gonna figure that out. All right. So as we're back from our break, I don't know if you guys have heard the story, but there's been a lot of talk about The Blind Side, it being manufactured or fabricated information. Well, this week, Michael Oher came out and he's suing the Tuohys, because he feels like they took advantage of him. Have you guys heard about the story?
yes, I have.
All right, so seeing that, first of all, I love the movie. It was a feel-good movie. I felt all kinds of good. Being a kid from Tennessee, growing up in the ghetto and making it out, that it resonated with me to an extent. Well, when you look at the lawsuit and everything that's taking place, we'll start with you, Jeremy. What are your thoughts on that? And then we'll end with you, Twan.
I mean, I've heard about it. I don't know into detail, so I can't really speculate. I can go off like the movie and at what happened at the end of the movie. It sounds like towards the end he started finding out that what they were doing was probably like not what he was expecting them to be doing. I don't know.
Okay,
if it took a minute, so like you can go ahead.
So let me tell you what happened. So this is what happened. They said that they took this kid in and they, it was alleged that they adopted him. Okay. Well, that didn't happen. That was never true. They didn't adopt him. Now they might have gave him some Taco Bell, but they didn't adopt the kid. So right after he turns 18 years old, allegedly they tricked him into signing a conservator's power of attorney conservatorship, like what Britney Spears had.
Yes.
And go ahead, Twan.
Yeah, I was going to say it gave them legal authority to make like business decisions in his name. So essentially, they had legal power over his name, so to be able to do, to make money off of him, make a profit.
Ain't that's messed up. That is messed up.
It's messed up because he's a kid, but that happens every day to these players.
And also because of that, because of the movie, they granted royalties to their children, not to him, but to their children, allegedly. Like, make sure I say this allegedly, like to their children, and then they're making millions of dollars, like streaming wise, all this stuff too from the movie. So, and Michael Oher has not seen a dime. So, like, you can understand, like whenever he was asked about this when he was playing, he hated talking about it. And I can understand why, because they make him look, I'm trying to say this nicely, but they don't make him look in a positive light in the movie. Put it that way.
The Tuohys or Michael?
They make the
Michael.
Okay.
Michael. Excuse me. They don't make Michael look in a positive light. The Tuohys, I mean, of course, they make them look good because they're taking this black kid in and Tennessee and all this stuff, and help him go to Ole Miss and do all this stuff too. But yeah, I definitely think they make him look not like such an intelligent guy when realistically, I think he is a pretty smart guy. If you ever heard him speak
It'd
and
be,
things of that nature too.
it would be interesting to see if because he wasn't playing football in the movie before the Tuohys, right? So I would be probably digging deeper to see what kind of help they actually gave him. Like if they actually took they don't have to adopt him to let him sleep on in a room of theirs or whatever it is. It would be interesting to see what kind of help they actually gave him versus what the movie said.
Right.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think they also said they came out with a statement. The two is that Michael Orr had threatened to make this public unless they gave him $15 million.
Did they?
So yeah, I mean,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
I always say the truth is somewhere in the middle. So
Right.
I think it's some truth to what he's saying. It's probably some truth for what they're saying, but I also think that yeah, making them sign that conservatorship, I mean, it really makes them look kind of low in that sense instead of
Yeah.
adopting them.
Yeah, it's one of those things like, okay, if you're Michael Oher, what is the benefit of coming out and saying this stuff if it wasn't true, right? Like, there has to be some truth to it, because I mean, that's kind of messed up, man. Like, you hope for like good stories like that where people out there who take kids in regardless of color, who need homes, who need a place to stay, who need food, and man, it's like one of those stories that I wanted so hard to believe that it was true just because of like what it stood for. Like, you could see a really a feel good story or a story of hope just from where I grew up, right? Being, in Tennessee, it was a war zone when I grew up there. So I understand like what the movie was depicting. Like, it was really like that where I grew up. To see him get out of the ghetto, make something of himself. Antwan, to piggyback on what you just said, they did make him look kind of dumb, huh? Like, he was
Yes.
like mute, like the dude was like, it was very, and pardon me, I ain't trying to offend nobody, but it was very like slave boy kind of stuff coming
Yeah,
from
I
the
was gonna
movie.
say that. Yeah, it was kind of like the slave master, and just like a actual slave. That's kind of how it was.
But I hope justice is served. Maybe there's a middle ground for these two parties to can kind of figure it out. But I'll probably never watch the the Blind Side again because it's marred now. I won't be showing it to my kid either. So it's a wrap on that. But
They should pay him. They need to give him some money though for
yeah,
that though. Like
yeah,
that's definitely a fact. Like he need to get some kind of royalty because it is his name. Like and that's him. So
yeah. All right. So with that being said, we're gonna wrap that up. Now stick around because we're gonna talk some Bills, but I want to know, because I haven't talked to you yet, Jeremy, about the preseason game. What are your thoughts and takeaways from the Bills win against the Colts on Saturday? What were your thoughts?
I mean, this is the first preseason game. There's never much to go on. I know that the depth of the D line is very good. Coming off that preseason game, I know that like the depth of the receivers are all right. I don't think we're gonna carry. I have like an opinion about if we're gonna carry seven or if we're gonna keep more DBs. I know they value special teams, and so maybe they keep uh, Isabella to return.
Mm,
But I would see six and then a practice squad guy or a couple practice squad guys as far as receivers. But I think they're going to keep more defensive players to play special teams because that's what they've generally done in the past.
yeah.
it looked like Mike Barkley was kind of sharp in that game. Like
I,
he was doing his
I'm
thing.
I'm not a Kyle Allen guy, so I'm always hoping they would
Yeah, I'm
pick
not.
up a Carson Wentz.
I covered him when he was with the Panthers, so I'm not either. So there's that.
I'm a Carson. Go get Carson Wentz to back him up like they did with Mitch. Have a nice backup just in case. Nice little vet men. I mean, if he's not going to play all season, I'd take Carson Wentz and then put Barkley on the practice squad and
Oh,
whatever they do with Kyle Allen. I'm not sure that's his cousin, so I'm sure they'll keep him. But
Yeah, I could pass on Kyle Allen.
Yeah.
But Matt Barkley, I think he deserves the QB2. I think he's played well. I think he did well last preseason. He understands the offense. And one of the things that I appreciate about Matt Barkley is that he's on time, in rhythm. He can execute the offense. Now he's not Josh Allen. He's not going to make plays off script or roll out to his right and throw across his body in the back of the end zone. That's not Matt Barkley's game. But what I do appreciate about Matt Barkley is that he let that thing fly. Now he may have to, if he's going to throw 40, 50 yards in the air, he's going to have to throw that thing right when the ball is snapped, because he ain't got much air under that thing. So I like it, man.
Look, I like Matt Barkley as a person. I think he deserves to be on the team. Whether it's practice squad or as just a backup quarterback, wherever he plays, but he's not going to get you regular season wins against starters, in my opinion. So, like, if you're going to bring in a backup to actually back up Josh, who runs the ball a lot, then you got to go get somebody that can get you wins. If for whatever, I don't want to put that in the motion, but if need be, a second quarterback was needed. I needed somebody that can win games as a number two, and Matt Barkley is, I think he can come in and play a quarter, but I just don't see it.
Yeah, I think the Bills are in a situation where most teams and backup quarterbacks, are like, if their backups has to play, then they're kind of screwed anyway. Same thing with the Jets. Same same thing with the Bengals. Like, that's just the reality of the situation. Like, those guys, if those guys are out any extended period of time, like, yeah, that's what
it's
it
a wrap.
is. Yeah, exactly.
How's Zach Wilson? Right. How's Zach Wilson look under the tutelage of Aaron Rodgers? Like, does he look more comfortable? It looks from the, I did watch the Jets preseason game. He does look more comfortable playing the position. It seems like him and Aaron have a really good relationship. Can you speak on what that transition's been looking like so far?
I think he's like making sound decisions. He's not doing. I think what you saw in the first year of his career, first couple of years in his career, he would just try to make these highlight reel throws that he made at BYU. And when you're in the league, you got these fast defenders. Like, you can't just throw the ball, chuck the ball out in the field all the time. I think you have to go through your progressions and make the sound decision. I think that's kind of what they've done with him. They just say, okay, it's okay to just to check the route down to the receiver, or take this 5-yard out route, or just short passes. It's okay to think and dunk, just to move the ball down the field, move the chains and things of that nature too. So yeah, what I'm finding is he's not making these careless mistakes that I think we kind of saw throughout the course of his career early on. It is preseason, so you kind of take it with a grain of salt. But I think you definitely see some improvement decision making with him, and I think it's a start. It's a start for him.
Right.
But yeah, I definitely think he's in a much better place, especially when you're having someone like Aaron Rodgers in his ear, also somebody who also knows the offense really well and help guiding him from play to play.
I have a big, like, we expect these like young rookies and stuff. This never used to be the case where they used to come in and be like, yo, you need to play now, because it used to be you sit under, you learn, and you get to sit under Aaron Rodgers. And this is Jordan Love this year is going to be like a perfect example of, like, if you sit and you take it in, you learn. That could be just as much growth as you playing in, and even more so than you playing in messing up all the time and continuing to make the same mistakes over and over and over again and not learning from your mistakes. So I think it might be more mental, Aaron coming in and helping, and whatever coaching staff they had to help him. But I do think Zach is going to be nice if he takes this, I'll say, a couple years of Aaron being there and actually learns and takes it in. I like Zach Wilson's skill set. He just needed to get there mentally, in my opinion.
Or I think also when the quarterbacks were thrown out early, we gave them a little bit of like, okay, let's see what they are. Like, they might struggle their first couple of years, but year 3, that's when they start to make that change and turn the corner a little bit. Nowadays, people just want everything now. They expect these guys to come in and to start producing year 1, and that's not realistic. Especially when typically you're going to a bad team. Like, if you're getting drafted number 1 and number 2 overall, unless they make some kind of trade or something like that. So you're not going to be in a great situation where you have a lot of weapons, but people just don't want to be patient with anything anymore. Like, I mean, that's just not even football. That's just reality of life in
That's my
general.
biggest thing with Kincaid is
Yeah.
like, yo, like cool down
Don't
on the
say it.
expectations, my
No,
guys. Like cool
no,
down.
I can't.
Let the man grow a little bit. Learn, like, you know what I mean. Learn some blocking, get a little bigger. Like let the man grow before we start Travis Kelce next. Travis Kelce. I don't want to hear that anymore. Like let the man grow and stop putting the number one tight end expectations on him. Dang.
Hey, I'm driving the Kincaid hype train. I'm the conductor. So y'all, I'm gonna have countdowns on this joint every week for what he
I
does.
liked him in college. So like what he's doing doesn't surprise me at all. So I thought he was tremendous at Utah.
Absolutely. I like him. I don't like that calling him possibly the best tight
Nah.
end, and then he being like, all right, he's like eighth, and then we're like, no, bust because he was supposed to be the best. Like I hear that every day that he's gonna be the next Travis Kelce. I don't want to hear that anymore.
Yeah, I don't go that far, but I be pumping the train, baby. Be pumping the train. Hey, you guys made some comments that were really interesting about backup quarterbacks. Have you guys taken notice of what's going on with Trey Lance in San Francisco? I mean, this
Yes.
dude, man, it's sad, right? Like, what are y'all's thoughts on that?
It was not well. I watched the Raiders a lot, so I definitely watched that game against the 49ers. And I mean, he couldn't even stay inside the pocket. Like he was running before he even had to. Like some of those sacks were his fault. Like I mean, of course he wasn't getting adequate blocking from time to time. But you know, when you're running like before you have to, then you're putting all that pressure on your offensive lineman. And then not only that, when he threw the ball, like he probably should have had like 2 or 3 interceptions, like off top, like on Sunday against the Raiders. I mean, it's not good at all. But I think this serves as a cautionary tale that, not that I'm, knocking North Dakota State guys or anything like that, but you better be really careful when you go up and trade for a guy, like especially with somebody with some raw ability and as young as what he is, and playing, Division 1 AA. Not for nothing that the competition wasn't nearly the same as what you had somebody like, even Matt Jones. Like I know a lot of like you said, like Kyle Shanahan was ready to take Matt Jones instead of Trey Lance. I think that might have been a better situation for them as opposed to what they have in Trey Lance right now. So yeah, I always thought that, I saw Trey Lance a little bit in college. I was not super impressed, to be quite honest with you, but everybody thought he might be, the next, big thing, and it certainly hasn't been the case.
What injury did he have last year? I forgot.
It's like some kind of leg injury, something like I think leg or foot or something like that. Yeah.
The reason I say it is because like I see there's certain people that handle injuries well, and there's certain people that don't, and like he might be coming back with a little bit of timid attitude because if I'm not mistaken, early last season he was playing all right, or during the preseason and then early last season he was playing all right before he got injured. So like I just like Trey White last year, I'm giving that like a pass as far as him coming back and just getting his feet under him. I'm going to give Trey Lance a little bit of leeway to come back and get his feet under him before I start calling him whatever he may be. And I know he doesn't have a lot of time because they're calling for Brock Purdy out there, but I got to give him some time.
So it was a ankle fracture that sidelined Trey Lance last year. The thing about the Trey Lance situation that has me kind of just thinking is like you see guys like Sam Darnold, you see guys like Brock Purdy, and there's a list of quarterbacks where what's their Shanahan has had in Atlanta, dealing with Matt Ryan. I don't know if he was there with Matt Schaub or not. I think he might have been there with Matt Schaub.
Yeah, I think so.
Towards the end of his career, right? So
Schaub was still pretty solid too.
Right. So you see
RG3, Kirk Cousins. Yeah, he was in that as well.
Yep. That was that year with RG3's first year. The Shanahans were there. So you see that. You see a guy who can take a quarterback with a various skill set, right? To not very talented in terms of athletic profile, like a Brock Purdy, and make these guys acceptable, make them look good. I mean, I think it takes a lot of work to make a Jimmy Garoppolo look suitable, right? Outside of the injuries. And like they drafted a guy that had all the physical tools necessary. And it's like, I can't put together what is the reason why it's not clicking for him. right? He had a year off. So I mean, it's not like he's had to change coordinators and stuff like that. He's been in the same offense. Why is it not working?
A year off is a little excessive. Yeah, I mean, he was hurt. He had fractured ankles, so like he had to spend a lot of time not worrying about football and worrying about healing his leg. So, and then when he gets back, he has to get over this mental hump of getting hurt in the game, and that's part of it. And like that injury can mentally scar you for as long as it will, and he's got to get over that at some point. He doesn't have a lot of time left, but I think once you get the starters out there on that offense, like Kyle Shanahan is a running guy, right? So like they're going to start running the ball better. Trey Lance going to have less responsibilities if he's starting, and he'll start to play better because that run offense is just so good. That defense is so good. So like that's partially of what's covered up Jimmy Garoppolo's defects in the past, is that he has a really good defense and a really good running game, and he can hit open targets, and that's all Trey Lance really has to do. And once he learns that and gets a little bit more comfortable standing out there on the pocket past his injury, I'm sure he'll be all right.
Yeah, this is third year in the system. Talking about Trey Lance, I mean, this is about it for him. Like this is I talked about patience and things like that, but yeah, the year 3, I mean, you better start showing signs that like you're going to be the guy, or you can be the guy, and he doesn't necessarily shown that. And then you, like you say, you got a guy like Brock Purdy who was taken in the 7th round, who I thought probably if he was taller and probably a little bit bigger, probably would have been taken a lot sooner. Coming out of Iowa State as well. And Sam Darnold has really rehabbed his career to the point where I'm not saying he's going to be an adequate starter in the league, but at least he can be a solid backup to this point, especially. And I think obviously Kyle Shanahan can get the most out of him, probably more than just about anybody else. So yeah, I mean, Trey Lance, this is the end of the road, really. Yeah, you got to start showing some kind of signs, or I think they might end up trading him, sooner rather than later.
All right, so we'll wrap up the Trey Lance saga. I mean, we'll see what they do with him. If at this point, cut him and see if he can catch on with another squad.
Nah, you trade him. You try to trade him.
Who's gonna take him?
Somebody would. Somebody would. It's
for like a 6.
All it takes is a sucker. It's one sucker.
6. Yeah,
you might get a 6 out of him.
That's all you need. You just need one team. That's all you need. Like, yeah, get a conditional 6th round pick. Maybe, if he ends up playing, maybe get a 5th round. Somebody would take him. As many, quarterback situations out there, even backup quarterback situations, somebody would take him.
How much money is he getting? It's got to be quite a bit, right?
I know they would have to. Well, they'll have the option to decline his 5th-year option after this season. So yeah, it's not. He's not owed that much more guaranteed money.
Yeah, he's so it says he signed a 4-year contract on his rookie deal worth $34 million. So he for the 23 seasons, base salary is $3.7 million and has a cap hit of $9.3 million.
That's not terrible, but
no, it's not terrible in terms of quarterbacks. It's cheap, right?
That's what I'm saying.
He might be somebody go try to trade if their season's going downhill and they got a quarterback got hurt or something like that. They might get something out of him.
Yeah, I mean, look at Arizona. I mean, I don't think Kyle should play at all this year. But I imagine he's going to want to because I'm sure he hears the Caleb Williams whispers out there too. I think we all do because he realizes if he doesn't play, Caleb Williams is probably coming in there, or Drake May from North Carolina, and then it's probably going to take his job. So yeah, of course he's going to want to play at some point.
Yeah, we'll see, man. It's interesting. So, but last question before we go. It's kind of a twofold question for you both. Twan, obviously you're going to be speaking in terms of the Jets, but who is the camp surprise, and who is a surprise candidate that will be cut by the end of training camp?
You want me to go? All right, I can go first then, I guess. I think now with Dalvin Cook being there, like the Jets have a surplus of running backs. So, I think this barely puts, a guy like Michael Carter or, Zonovan Bam Knight kind of on the bubble there. I think Knight was somebody that kind of was an undrafted free agent, somebody that was really their bell cow late in the season when, Breece Hall got hurt. So, and then obviously Michael Carter, that was a 4th round pick for the Jets last year. I definitely think, I think they would like to keep him, but again, you're not going to keep 5, tailbacks on your roster, like
Right.
especially if you're going to possibly keep a fullback too. So one of those guys are going to probably be the odd man out too. And as far as a camp surprise, I think we already talked about Jason Brownlee too as well. So I think Tony Adams for the Jets too is safety. He's going to end up starting the safety for the Jets, which I think is huge. Undrafted free agent, his second year coming out of Illinois. Somebody's gonna, I think sneak up on a lot of people this year.
Jeremy, what you got? What you think?
My answer is interesting because it's the same person.
Okay.
It's Boogie Basham is the person that surprised me the most as far as like his growth and what he's been able to do. I also think that they're going to trade him at some point if he continues to play very well in the preseason, because I just don't think they're going to keep that many D linemen. And his contract, I mean, I think his 5th year is coming up soon. And so I do think that he's played very well. He's earned a spot in a roster. I just don't think it's going to be the Bills because they have a surplus of D linemen that I think they're going to keep.
All right. We're going to see what's happening. I mean, cut down day, that day is a fast
one
approaching.
Guy. Yeah, it's just one cut down day now. So
yeah, it's going to be crazy. I think there's going to be a lot of talent that's going to end up out there on the streets, man. These teams I think these top teams, they're going to be cutting guys that it happens every year, right? They're guys that you don't ever expect to be cut necessarily, and they end up, impacting a squad somewhere. So we're going to see. But again, thank you guys for being a part of the show. Those of you who are watching, Twan's good to have you back. Jeremy, that's my dog down there. Next week we'll be on time. We won't mix up the time. But for those of you out there, man, listening to Chop Up, man, we really appreciate you. And again, we own this thing every single week during the season. I can't wait for the Buffalo Bills season start. I can't wait till we whoop up on them Jets. Can't wait. Can't wait till we whoop up on them Jets. But anyways, man, we out of here.
I need it up front. Can't tell me, cause I do what I want. Self-made everything, we gon' stun. That we eat and it's looking like lunch. So I tell them that I need it up front. Can't tell me, cause I do what I want. Self-made everything, we gon' stun. That we eat and it's looking like lunch. So I tell them that I need it. Everything around my whole team, though. You ain't getting money, you niggas ain't never seen, though. Tell me where the cash at, I tell you where the stash at. I've been getting to it so long, been having flash